4 copies of Crackling Doom. We expect that to be in decks. 3 copies of Foul Tongue Invocation and 3 copies of Ultimate Price. So he should be very well suited for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a direct mirror because Mardu versus Green-Red, but it's a Dragon mirror.
And we saw Eric play this matchup during the elimination rounds last week. Seemed like a matchup that would be good for Mardu Dragons, but Eric was just a little too fast, a little too explosive with his man acceleration. The same thing may play out here, but I think Franco's got a very good shot because he has so much removal to catch up. 3 copies of Ultimate Price, great for this matchup.
A Temple of Triumph is how we're going to start things here in Baltimore. Renken will take a look at his top card and see if it's going to go to the bottom or not. And it will go to the bottom. Rill will take his first draw step of the weekend. It's a Forest, it's an Elvish Mystic, and that's where you want to be. Some people have actually considered this to be a Mox in the format.
Well, this is one of the most powerful openings the format has. It's basic Forest into Elvish Mystic, especially in a deck that's packing so many potent 3s and 4s, Goblin Rabblemaster especially. The openings you get with this card can run your opponent out of the game before it even starts.
It's a Seeker of the Way here for Renken. That's his first play of the weekend. A Mountain for Rill. We'll see if he has a Rabblemaster or anything. Just a Draconic Roar. No Dragon to reveal, unfortunately, for Eric, but he is able to come across for 1 point of damage. Still
Not a good sign.
Still a fine turn, but I agree.
Well, the lack of a Dragon to reveal is the bad sign here, especially with Eric opening up on Elvish Mystic. You would like to see some big play for him to curve into.
Renken going to play a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster. A Goblin will be coming along with it. And he'll be coming across for 1 point of damage here in just a moment. We'll be talking about Rabblemaster a lot this weekend, I imagine, especially in combination with the reprint of Goblin Pile Driver.
Oh, that's a big one.
Indeed. I didn't know if we'd see protection from blue anymore.
Yeah, that's a conversation onto its own.
Yeah.
That is a very curious reprint. Not because the power level is out of control necessarily, but protection from color is something they do a lot less of.
He didn't have a Dragon, but he does have a copy of Ashclaw Phoenix. Rill playing 2 main deck copies of that card again this weekend. Renken will take a draw step in just a moment. He wants to make sure he knows exactly what Ashclaw Phoenix does do. We don't see this card a ton in the format, but it's actually pretty good on this board right now.
Well, Eric is just in the market for more high-impact flyers to accelerate into. This is not quite as good as some of the other options that he's already playing because it's not a Dragon. You would like more Dragons for various synergies with Haven and Draconic Roar and so forth, but Ashclaw Phoenix is still pretty good against decks packing a lot of removal, which is a vulnerability of Dragons. There's only so many threats that really matter, and having something that requires 2 removal spells can be pretty valuable.
Crackling Doom is going to take care of the front half of Ashclaw Phoenix. Rill will lose 2 as a result. Be heading down to 17. But that Morph can actually still block the Rabblemaster or the Goblin, so that kind of shows the power of Ashclaw Phoenix.
Yeah, here, Franco had kind of 2 paths. He had one which is just only attack with the Goblins and allow the front half of Ashclaw Phoenix to trade or not, or this line of play, which offers up the trade with the Rabblemaster. This is 2 cards, but the Phoenix is accounted for.
2 damage just come across there for Renken. Rill's going to go down to 15. We're going to head back Rill's way. Now, he didn't have a Dragon to reveal to Draconic Roar, but that doesn't mean he can't draw one. He's got this board pretty well handled so far. 2/1/1 Goblins, not the end of the world there for Eric. And Renken doesn't have many cards left in his hand. Looks like he's got a couple copies of Draconic Roar left over.
Yeah, 2 copies of Draconic Roar and a Temple appear to be Franco's leftovers. Both these players obviously in the market for a Dragon at this point.
That would be nice, I think. It's a Temple of Abandon here for Rill. He'll take a look at that top card. That one's going to the bottom pretty quickly. Did not like what he saw. Here's another copy of Ashclaw Phoenix. Not particularly good on this board, but he'll have to pass the turn back over to Renken. It was good that it got to trade with a Goblin Rabblemaster, but does not want anything to do with those 1/1 Goblins.
That said, right now Franco's clock is slow enough that Ashclaw Phoenix could either just race Franco in the air or do some blocking, absorbing removal spells and unmorphing sort of game.
Well, it looks like a race is where we're going to be headed. The 2 Goblins come across. Rill will not block. He'll go down to 13. And now we're going to head back Rill's way. He'll take a draw step, still in search of a Dragon. Looks like he may have picked up a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster. Rather land-heavy hand at this point for Rill, too. He'll tap 3. It looks like it will be the Rabblemaster. Does also have a copy of Rattleclaw Mystic in hand. Rill going to attempt to go to the attack step. Looks like Renken's going to pause him, as we know he has got at least 1 Draconic Roar in hand. So he will cast that, take care of the Rabblemaster before the Goblin does join the battlefield. But just like for Rill, Renken with no Dragon to reveal. It doesn't look like Rill's ready to have a complete race just yet. Elvish Mystic going to hang back on defense.
Crackling Doom also in Franco's hand, and if he can find a dragon, it's just so potent for him right now. Not only his ability to cast it, but his Draconic Roar gets turned on. He's got Crackling Doom for another 2 points of damage. Even with Eric at 13, Franco could conceivably burn him out or come close to it if he's able to draw a dragon.
Franco going to take that 4. It's 14 to 13. Rill going to go down to 12 now from that Wooded Foothill. So search up a 4. So I think we're going to have a morphed Rattleclaw Mystic in just a moment. Get actually a lot of morphs in Rill's deck, so you do get to actually play the morph game. He's got 4 Death Mist Raptors, 2 Den Protectors, and 2 Ashclaw Phoenixes, so that sort of little playing does come up a little bit.
And that's a feature of a lot of decks in Standard. There are enough morphs, and Death Mist Raptor definitely promotes playing with a bunch of morphs, of course, but there are enough high-quality morphs where the situation does come up where you're not quite sure what you're playing against. In contrast to other formats with morphs where there was really only 1, maybe 2 in every color that was even close to tournament playable, there's a lot of solid morphs, and so the guessing game does come up.
Temple of Triumph is where Renken's turn will begin. Looks like he's going to leave that card on top of his deck. Wouldn't surprise me if it was a dragon. That's what both of these decks are all about. See the Crackling Doom? Looks like there might be 2 copies of Crackling Doom in hand right now for Franco, along with the Draconic Roar. He will start with Draconic Roar. That'll take care of the Rattleclaw Mystic. Now those Goblins can come across into the red zone. Rill's going to go down to 10. And now we're going to head back Eric's way in just a moment, with Franco having 2 copies of Crackling Doom in hand, and he left that card on top of the deck.
I'm curious to see how much defense Eric is willing to play this turn, if he's willing to hold back the Ashclaw Phoenix. With Stormbreath Dragon on the top, that's no longer going to be the case.
I think we're getting in the red zone. Yeah.
If Franco left anything on top, got to assume it's Stormbreath Dragon or Thunderbreak Region.
Yep. This will be an attack for 9. Now the race has shifted in Rill's favor, and that's really the power of Stormbreath Dragon, honestly.
Yeah, and Franco with 2 cards in hand, Eric with 7 mana, so Franco better be able to kill Eric or at least kill the Stormbreath Dragon.
And it looks like Franco left the Stormbreath Dragon on top of his deck, which that's not really going to surprise you.
Yeah, that seems like that would be the card.
Yeah.
Either that or Thunderbreak Region.
Yep.
Those are the things you're looking for right now.
There's an attack for 2. Rill's going to go down to 8. Yeah, that Stormbreath Dragon was the draw, along with 2 copies of Crackling Doom in hand. There's Crackling Doom. I have a feeling we're going to sacrifice an Ashclaw Phoenix.
Very savvy play by Eric.
Hey, that's why he's a 5-time champion right there. Sees every angle. Going to go down to 6.
Even at the beginning of the morning, still sees everything.
That's right. Eric is going to attack with all of his creatures, and that is going to get the job done. Eric Rill's going to win game number 1 here over Franco Renken. A timely Stormbreath Dragon going to help him get that game. Green Red Dragons up a game here over Mardu Dragons. And truth be told, not really that great of a draw for Rill that game.
Well, I'll say this. Ashclaw Phoenix was the superstar of that game.
It was good.
The first copy traded with Crackling Doom and a Goblin Rabble Master.
Okay.
And the second copy never really got answered.
Yep.
It was awesome that game. Even better than probably Thunderbreak Regent would have been, because that would have just died to 1 removal spell.
And if it was a Crackling Doom that killed the Thunderbreak Regent, you don't even get the trigger.
Exactly. So Ashclaw Phoenix, the card that some people point at Eric's wrist and wonder kind of what's going on here, you saw it pull more than its weight that game.
To the sideboards we'll go. We'll start with Renken and his Mardu Dragons deck.
1 copy of Elspeth Sun's Champion, a Kolagon's Command, 2 copies of Outpost Siege, 2 copies of Rending Volley, 3 copies of Duress, 2 copies of Seismic Rupture, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods. So there's only 1 card in here that I'm positive will be coming in, and that's the copy of Elspeth Sun's Champion. Beyond that, I think the 2 copies of Anger of the Gods and the 1 copy of Kolagon's Command are borderline cards you could bring in. Eric's deck has Death Mist Raptor, you've seen Ash Cloud Phoenix, and Franco's deck is a little bit more controlling in the matchup. So I like bringing in the Anger of the Gods, but this requires him to cut some of his small creatures. We saw some awkwardness last week when Mardu Dragons players were leaving in Anger of the Gods or bringing in Anger of the Gods alongside leaving in cards like Soulfire Grandmaster and Seeker of the Way, leading to some very awkward draws. So if Franco wants to turn his deck into a control deck, I'm all about it. If he only wants to bring in the 1 copy of Elspeth and shuffle all of his deck, I'm fine with that too.
My question, if you're Franco, and we'll get to Rill sideboard in just a moment, he's got those 2 main deck copies of Roast. Do you like leaving those in? I mean, assuming that Franco is working with the same information that we do of Eric's deck list, given that Eric won the Open Series last week at Indianapolis. I mean, there are targets in Rabble Master and Death Mist Raptor and the Morphs, but it seems like it's supposed to go.
Well, Franco has 4 copies of Seeker of the Way in his deck, and to me, that's just got to go in this kind of matchup. It's really only good if it's in your opening hand, and even then, it's not going to be excellent that often. I would just cut the 4 copies of Seeker, probably for the Elspeth, the Kolaghan's Command, and the 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, and call it a day. So Roast is not good, but I like it more in the matchup than Seeker of the Way, especially if you're bringing in Anger of the Gods.
Well, Rill has a Roast in his sideboard to go along with his 2 main deck copies, a Den Protector, an Arc Lightning, 2 Wild Slash, a copy of Mob Rule, 2 Xenagos the Reveler, 2 Arbor Colossus, 2 Plummets, a Reclamation Sage, an Outpost Siege, and a Rending Volley.
Big fan of the anti-flying measures, the 2 copies of Arbor Colossus and the 2 copies of Plummet. That's where I start. Beyond that, I think the 1 copy of Mob Rule is reasonable to bring in this matchup. And there's some fringe options here, like Roast, which has some targets, like the Den Protector if you're expecting the game to slow down. But I think he has to bring in the anti-flying cards and the 1 copy of Mob Rule.
Season 3 schedule is what we'll take a look at right now before game number 2 does begin. Of course, we started things off with a Modern Grand Prix that Michael Malone did win with Elves. Then we were in Indianapolis last weekend, and that's where Eric Rill got his 5th Open Series win. He is actually looking for his 6th one here in Baltimore. Wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, given this power of this green-red Dragons deck. Then a couple weekends off, and then Chi-Town for the first time.
Yeah, we have Magic Origins coming down the pipeline, take a couple weeks off for that. Then we head to Chicago for the first time in Open Series history. We go to Richmond for a standard Open Series event, then Legacy in Washington, D.C., a standard Grand Prix in London. We go back to Charlotte for a Modern Open Series event, and then the Season 3 Invitational in New Jersey, standard and Legacy as the invitational formats with a 2-day $20,000 standard Open Series event, August 28th through the 30th.
Any of these Open Series events that you do come to, of course, will get you the wonderful Tassiper playmat with old Bananas there.
Bananas the dog and Tassiper the Golden Fang. Very popular playmat. This comes free of charge for any 2-day $20,000 Open Series event you sign up for throughout the entirety of Season 3.
So come on down, Season 3. You know the dates. Plan accordingly. Get one of these awesome playmats. Play for a bunch of money, some Open Series points. I think we all know the drill by now as we get ready to watch Eric Rill do battle here in game number 2. No buys for Eric, but that didn't matter last weekend.
No, it did not. And that's just really surprising because throughout 2014, he was in the top 10, top 20, whatever, of the leaderboard, it felt, the entire year. But most of that work got done in the first season and the second season of 2014, and those points are gone.
Well, he's looking to climb his way back up the leaderboard. Came up a little bit short, as you mentioned, in Season 2 and Season 3 of qualifying for the Players' Championship. He's having a good middle of the year so far. Renken going to keep his opening hand. We'll see if Rill does do the same. It looks like both players are happy. Just a mountain here for Franco to start the game off. Rill with a Temple of Abandon. He'll scry the top card to the bottom. We'll head back Renken's way for his second turn. There's a Nomad Outpost. He'll pass the turn back over to Rill.
And I was about to say, opening up with a basic mountain, really bad side for Franco. You have a lot of lands that come into play tapped, and the Mardu Dragon deck does not have great mana. Nomad Outpost off the top to me indicates that he drew Nomad Outpost that turn, and so his mana situation should be fine going forward.
There's a Swamp, so all 3 colors are here. Now here's a Seeker of the Way. Now we saw this last weekend in the finals, Seeker of the Way in combination with a card like Anger of the Gods. Not sure if it's actually in Renken's deck just yet, but he did leave the 2 drops in, it looks like. Rill with Draconic Roar to get Seeker out of the way. Now here's Deathmish Raptor. He'll pass the turn back over to Renken. It's a Haven of the Spirit Dragon, our first of what will likely be many this weekend. Card is extremely powerful in these dragon strategies. Here is a Draconic Roar to go after Deathmish Raptor. And there is a Dragon to reveal. 1 for 4 on Draconic Roar reveals. Not bad, gentlemen. Someone's got to deal 3 damage with that spell. Rill goes down to 17. Rill will take a draw step.
And Renken's leftovers are just about perfect by the looks of it. Stormbreath Dragons at an ultimate price.
That's a good place to be. The question, I suppose, is does he have land number 5?
Sort of.
Ah, yes, this classic problem.
Sort of.
Yep. Does enter the battlefield tapped there in Nomad Outpost. We're going to go back to Rill. He played a Rugged Highlands last turn. That's why he's up to 18. There's a Wooded Foothills. All he can do is pass the turn back, so not an explosive start here for Eric at all.
Well, I think that turn, even if Eric has, let's say, Stormbreath Dragon, I don't even know if he can cast it. The tempo swing is so bad, and with Mardu Dragons having access to Ultimate Price and Crackling Doom in that spot, on top of possibly other banishing effects, I think Eric's got to wait for either Franco to tap out for his own threat or Eric to be in a position to cast 2 spells in 1 turn. But even if Eric has Storm Breath that turn, I don't think he can just cast it. I think it just goes badly for him too often.
Yeah, you're casting it into removal and just a really nice tempo swing.
Exactly.
Rill takes 4 from the Dragon. He'll sacrifice the Wooded Foothills, take 1 from that as well. He's down to 13. And oddly enough, Eric didn't have the ability to have a little tempo swing action there, like a plummet, to be able to kill the Stormbreath Dragon. So that's difficult for him. And so now he's in some real trouble at this point because it doesn't look like his hand has very much action at all.
That's the edge that Mardu Dragons has in the matchup, is that it's not that hard for them to answer dragons because you have the black cards. But on the green-red dragon side of the table, it's really hard to answer dragons. You have a couple plummets in your sideboard, but most of your removal is not that well equipped to handle large creatures.
A Crater's Claws will take care of the Stormbreath Dragon and pass the turn back, but he has to take a hit from the Stormbreath Dragon, and then he gets to kill it. You kind of see the issue there.
Yeah.
Here's another Stormbreath Dragon. Rill getting prepared to take another 4. He's down to 9 now. We'll have to see if he has another answer to this card, because it certainly does require an answer. Here's a Bloodstained Mire from Renken. He'll pass the turn back over to Rill. Rill will take a draw step. He's got a Stormbreath Dragon of his own now. There's a Mountain. Now he'll play a Stormbreath Dragon. I think it's going to be on the defensive.
Yeah, this is optimistic, thinking that this thing's going to get the block.
To say the least.
Land number 7 or any removal spell makes it a bad block.
Well, we'll see if Renken does have land number 7, maybe to go monstrous with this thing. We know he has ultimate price number 1, so he'll fire that off to take care of the Stormbreath Dragon. Here comes the Stormbreath Dragon into the red zone. Rill will go down to 5. And the follow-up here is going to have to sacrifice that Bloodstained Mire to actually cast that Thunderbreak Regent. So he'll have to take 1 and go down to 19, play a Thunderbreak Regent. I'm not sure if there's any way out of this for Rill, because the one card he does not have in his sideboard this weekend is a card like Windstorm.
Yeah, no Windstorm. I don't even think Arbor Colossus gets it done from this spot.
Nor do I. Looks like Rill's already starting to pick up his lands and moving on to game number 3. So Franco Renken's going to win game number 2 here against Eric Rill. Mardu Dragons, Green-Red Dragons, they're going to head to game number 3. And you can kind of see the difference between the two decks, because Mardu Dragons has the ability to really efficiently take care of dragons where Green-Red does not.
That's the battle. Eric's deck is faster because he has mana acceleration, and his mana is just a little bit smoother, both in terms of consistency and in the number of lands that come into play untapped. Franco's edge is cards like Ultimate Price and Crackling Doom. He's much more reliably able to answer dragons than Eric's deck does. Game 1 wasn't really an issue of that. Ash Cloud Phoenix just grinded down all of Franco's removal spells, and he was a little light on substantial action. But you saw in Game 2 there, Franco's removal much more reliable than Eric's.
Well, as these players shuffle up here for game number 3, Rill will be on the play, of course. We'll talk about SCG Game Night. We are in June. Not much time left to get the old bunny here.
Exactly. You are running out of time, so you want to head over to StarCityGames.com/game night, find the game night closest to you. Stores have the flexibility to run this program however they want to. You can run it sanctioned, unsanctioned, any format you want. Just get players in your store for some fun and friendly magic. We send out new kits every month. We got the July kit coming down the pipeline. This is the Piglet. Obviously, too late to get signed up for this, but if you want to get signed up for the August kit, we have the monkeys ready to go. Head over to StarCityGames.com/game night or contact your Star City Games organized play representative.
August is good old monkey month. I forgot, we get, Furious George.
Furious George.
That's the name of our monkey. Forgot that we gave it a name, but I remembered it is Furious George stealing bananas for Monkey Month in August. As Patrick said, StarCityGames.com/game night for more information on that fantastic program. I want to thank you guys for making that a successful program, because we certainly can't do it without you as we do get ready here for game number 3. The Thrill Rill Assassin is on your right. Renken is on your left. Eric Rill, 5-time Open Series champion. I think of multiple-time Open Series champions, you know, your Todd Andersons, your Jerry Thompsons of the world, your Reed Dukes. I think people really kind of forget that Eric Rill has won this many times in the Open Series.
Yep. It looks like he grew out a celebratory mustache as
a
result.
I like that. Yep, I do like that. Typically classify that as a dirt stash more than anything, but looks good on him. Looks good. Hope his running mate, Kent Ketter, is in attendance this weekend.
I've not seen him throughout the room. Don't know yet. We'll find out.
Normally when you see Eric, you do see Kent in the same room. And Kent, of course, did make the top 4 last weekend.
Yeah, also a very good run. They were on opposite sides of the bracket, too. We came very close to having Kent and Eric square off in the finals, but it was not to be. as Kent was bounced in the semifinals.
Yeah, but it's Green-Black Dragons deck has certainly had an impact on things. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of that deck in the room. Looked very powerful when we watched them multiple times last weekend.
Yeah, definitely impressive. If you are in the market for one of those green-black, mid-range, graveyard, synergy-oriented decks, that Dragons list to me is very impressive.
As we did mention right at the top of the show, too, we'll be talking about a lot of Magic Origin spoilers this weekend, so we do want your questions at SCG Live, hashtag SCGBALT, all weekend long. A lot of sweet stuff coming out. We got some reprints of Goblin Pile Driver. All the Flip Planeswalkers have been spoiled for those who haven't seen those. A lot of sweet stuff going on in this set. I am loving it. We got a lot more spoilers coming out next week, too.
Yeah, I can't wait for the pre-release. I'm very excited about this set.
I'm hoping they held something back.
Some goodies for Red.
Yeah, they're giving you. They got the new Flame Javelin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I knew you would be a fan of that.
Oh yeah.
A Temple of Abandon is where Rill's going to start. So no Elvish Mystic here, but a little bit of fixing.
If I got to battle Joe Lissette in Legacy with that card on my sideboard, we would have had some different outcomes.
You'd be out of the booth, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'd be running solo in here. A Nomad Outpost here from Renken. Here's a Rugged Highland, so Rill's going to get everything set up here for turn number 3. Doesn't even look like he has an Elvish Mystic to play.
I don't know what's up with that one copy of Rugged Highlands. I know it's been grandfathered into every version of this list that I've ever seen, but then every time someone draws it, I'm like, why is that not another basic land or a mana confluence?
Sometimes sometimes you just want a life, man.
That's sure. I mean,
maybe you just need a life sometimes.
Not at that cost.
Rill will take a draw step. He'll play another Temple. Boy, a slow start here for Eric.
Well, at least he's at 21.
You are right about that. Anything to play here for Rill? Nope, just passing the turn back. Another Nomad Outpost here for Renken.
What's interesting in these kind of matchups is because of the threat of Goblin Rabblemaster on both sides of the table, these players are often going to say go on their second or third turn instead of playing something, because the sequence they're trying to avoid is Rabblemaster gets killed by something before combat, and then the other player untaps and casts a Rabblemaster of their own. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you get in a spot where they're going to err on the side of saying go instead of playing a low-impact card because of the threat of Rabblemaster.
You don't want that tempo shift.
No.
It's really bad for you.
No.
Here's a Mountain from Rill. Does he have a Dragon to play? He's going to go with a Morph. That'll be the first play of the game. I'd be surprised if this makes it very far. But we will see as Renken will take a draw step.
Well, we know that Renken only had 2 mana available there, so it's either Draconic Roar, which if he had, I'm sure he would cast, or Ultimate Price, which you can't cast there.
Yeah, he can't play it.
A lot of the removal we've seen thus far isn't actually very good against a turn 3 Morph when he's only got 2 mana available.
There's a Foul Tongue Invocation in hand here for Renken. Look, he's going to play that. Does he have a Dragon to reveal? He does in Stormbreath Dragon. Now I suppose the question is, does he have a land to play to continue to work his way towards Stormbreath Dragon? Does not appear to be the case. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing if you're Eric. The good thing is he doesn't have a land. The bad thing is his hand's all spells.
Yeah, so the only thing you can really hope for is that his hand is a bunch of 5 mana, Stormbreath Dragons and similar threats, because the amount of mana he has available, Foul Tongue Invocation, Ultimate Price, Crackling Doom, he can cast them all.
Yep.
So he may be able to weather the storm of threats that Eric's producing here, make some land drops, and then fire back with his own dragons.
Here comes Stormbreath Dragon for Rill. He comes across for 4. Pass the turn back over to Renken. Renken's deck has plenty of answers to that card this week, and you have to imagine Rill's win last week, and it certainly influenced a lot of deck building for this weekend. You can see Ultimate Price and Crackling Doom in hand. Crackling Doom is the most efficient of these cards at this point, given the mana issues.
Exactly. You want to use your 3 mana right now, so you can try to set up a sequence for 2 spells somewhere down the line with some of your cheaper stuff. The risk here is that, Crackling Doom does kill the largest threat at all times. Ultimate Price does not necessarily kill everything. It does have a target now in Stormbreath Dragon, but that play is not totally straightforward.
Renken down to 15 now. So Rill is the aggressor. There's a land. It's a Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Might be time, for the Ultimate Price. Looks like Renken may wait. This could be dangerous.
Yeah, with an opponent with 6 mana in play, what you don't want to have happen here, especially with Franco having so many cards in his hand, is for Eric to go play the land number 7, attack you. Yeah. Just get this off the table right now. Don't get too fancy.
That's exactly what Renken will do. Ultimate Price takes care of the Stormbreath Dragon. We're going to head back Rill's way. He'll take a draw step. I think he's got a third Stormbreath Dragon in hand. There is a land. Here is Stormbreath, number 3. Sometimes Magic's really easy. Just play your stuff and attack with it.
Well, you can tell Eric's got some reservation there because he knows about Ultimate Price and he's playing against a deck with nothing but removal spells. So he has 3 Stormbreath Dragons, but Franco's been able to answer them all.
Yep. Renken's down to 11, but 3 Stormbreaths have been taken care of. Rill's going to sacrifice his Wooded Foothills, thin his deck out of a land. He's going to go down to 16 in the process. There's the mountain. There's only 1 Stormbreath Dragon left in that deck, though. So if you're Renken, you got to be feeling good about that aspect of things of, well, you know, there's not many haste threats that'll be coming off that I have to worry about now.
Yeah, Franco's hand rather is a little clunky here, and I think he's out of removal spells, so he's not out of the woods just yet. But you got to feel pretty comfortable being at 11, having answered 3 copies of Stormbreath Dragon.
That would be a good time for Rill. Maybe find a card like Den Protector, even Ash Cloud Phoenix would be pretty good. He's already reaching for some mana. It'll be a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster. That'll bring a Goblin along with it, and now an attack for 1. So Renken's going to go down to 10. There's a land, and here's an Arbor Colossus. All right, he had some ammo left.
Yep, and he could probably sense that there's no copy of Ultimate Price hanging out in Renken's hand because he would have answered the Rabblemaster with that most likely. And if Franco is out of banishing effects, Arbor Colossus can end this game very quickly. In fact, if Franco's follow-up play is just a flyer, Franco's dead.
Dead, yeah.
He's just dead.
Now is not the right time to have a dragon if you're Franco Renken.
Foul Tongue Invocation is of very little help now. There's a token in play.
Very true.
Anger of the Gods does not answer Arbor Colossus.
Also true. Arbor Colossus has made things very difficult for Renken. And how powerful that card can be in the matchup, it truly varies. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it's just something that just dies from removal spell.
Yep, but Eric's plan here post-board is so he's just got to wear that kind of stuff out,
yeah.
You know? He's got a lot of 5-mana spells and 4-mana spells. He can't get away from those kind of cards. So he just has to bring in more meat and hope that he wears Franco out, which is what he's been able to do this game.
Yeah, I suppose the hope here, if you're Renken, is maybe Rill tries to play around a card like Murderous Cut, but he's just going to activate the Monstrosity Arbor Colossus, kill that Thunderbreak Regent, make a Goblin, and get into the red zone. And as Renken takes a look at his hand, he knows that he is beat. Eric Rill is going to win this match here over Franco Renken. 2-1. Green-Red Dragons will take care of Mardu Dragons, and though Rill does not have any buys, he didn't last weekend either. He's off to another great start.
Yep, just ran Franco out of stuff.
Yeah.
And was able to get in a couple shots here and there with his copies of Stormbreath Dragon. And when Franco's hand was just creatures on the leftovers, Arbor Colossus ended the game.
It's very interesting to me because this is the 2nd or 3rd time we've watched Rill win this matchup. I can never really tell if it's favorable for him or not. The draws just kind of dictate what kind of happens, but